Okay, I think I need to phase out of the full poly bed. I like it, but it hurts my arms and my shoulder too. And this issue isn't going to slow down if I don't move away from the full poly. So let's talk about that a little bit. I initially thought maybe I need a different racket that's going to be more flexible, more softer on the arm. So when I did the research, like Wilson Clash, and then what was the other one? I think it was a head. Oh, sorry, I've actually forgot. But I was actually considering the Wilson Clash, like 108-inch huge head with like 10.4 ounce, but it's very thick frame. But there was one YouTube review that says even a pro like a club pro, he was saying he likes the feel of it. He added some lead tapes here, but every once in a while, ball will just fly out of your expectation, and that's the feel that you get when you hit a bigger head racket. So, and then I kind of came to I was just casually looking different rackets, and then I was looking at the rackets that I have, like this one, the head. I think it's called the Speed Pro old Djokovic's racket. So I got this from a friend. He just gave it to me because he stopped playing tennis. But so this is a candidate for sure, not just because of the specs of it, but it already has a multi-filament with a poly. So here's a poly, here's a multi-filament. So I already have this setup. Theoretically, this should be softer on my arm, so I'm going to check that out. And if it's my grip size too. One of my problems of all these rackets I have a Babolat Pure Drive, Aero Pure, and then here's a Strike 2. These are all my daughter's rackets. And so the problem is that they all have 1/8 grip, which is a bit too small for my liking. You don't notice it as much when you really swing through, but when you try like a chip and charge or a slice or something like that, smaller grip will kind of make the racket torque a little bit, which makes me lose control a bit. I could do a thicker over grip, which I have done, and I actually do like this racket. Strike is more of my style. I was just watching Carousel's racket changing. He just changed to a Tecnifiber T40 or something like that. And he was talking about how people choose rackets based on the power or control, but they really should focus on, are you a more of a guiding player, or are you more like a hitting a big cut kind of player, which makes total sense. So when I look at my tendency, when I look at the videos of my matches, I'm more of a like a guiding player. I don't do a big cut because when I do a big cut, I miss that ball during a match a lot of times. Unless I have plenty of time on my forehand typically. And so I am more of a guiding player, which means that control more of a control racket. It can be a little bit heavier, but if it gives a good control, that's when I can like attack better, make my opponent very uncomfortable by placing the ball where they're very uncomfortable at. And so if I use like pure drive kind of racket, it has a lot of power, but I do have controlling issue, especially at the net. I find when I'm in the mid court, I'm doing like a high volley. I want to hit it kind of deep to their feet or something like that, but they just fly out, or I did a dinky shot or something. So I lose a lot because of the smaller grips, but so that's my tendency. If I'm a big cut, no matter what happened kind of player, that could work with a maybe fatten up grip. So I have that. I have some like old Yonex too, one of the junior rackets, and also I have had the I forgot the name of it. That's again like a 10-ounce, very light racket. I tried to modify it with weight and stuff like that, and it didn't quite work. And then most control that I get is this racket, the N-Code N95, N-Code N-Tour N-Code 95. So this is supposedly Justin Hannon's old racket, slightly longer. So it gives a lot of pop actually. If you just swing, just medium swing, because of the longer frame, it gives a little bit more leverage. I need to remember to kind of, you know, aim the ball slightly away from my body because it's slightly longer racket. But when you hit it right, it gives me a lot of power. And if I'm in the dead zone, where I get stuck a lot after serve or something like that, when I'm in the dead zone, if somebody hits a really deep shot at my feet, this racket is best because I can actually do a block and keep the ball super deep and more like with a good power, with a good placement, good control. So what I like about this racket is that it may be lacking a little bit of overhead, you know, control, but my tendency is I'm kind of chip and charge kind of player, more guiding player. So this is what I like. But the stiffness, I believe it's somewhere in the 62, which is average. But having this 16 gauge, I have a Silinko 16, Silinko Soft, I think. Mitch, my buddy at the club, he uses this. I mean, he was ex-pro. I mean, he's a completely different player than me. And I think this, so the combination of having a very thin grip, not much cushion here, having a 16 gauge at about 55 pound on a somewhat stiffer frame, and then I have bad technique. So I think where I got hurt was when I was doing some overhead a few times. I think I kind of tweaked it a little bit. So, you know, I've been treating my tennis elbow for the last about 4 or 5 days now, and it has gotten better, but you know, this can't be really ongoing thing because it's very annoying. It's very, very annoying so that I can play or I'm taking full week off, but if it continues, it will come to maybe wrist, which I feel every once in a while, and then it will affect my shoulder. So now I'm kind of leaning into more of a, I can use this racket if I change the strings. If I use poly string 17 gauge at a lower tension, it's going to lose more control. But the shock of that, you know, shock that you get is not going to go away. So I'm kind of leaning toward maybe doing a hybrid like this, poly and multi-filament. So as far as I know, multi-filament and synthetic gut, multi-filament has a lot more fibers. So they tend to fray, but they're very softer on their on your arms. On the other hand, the synthetic gut is like a thick core inside, just one big core with some surrounding other stuff. So it feels more like, you know, poly, softer than poly, but not as soft as a multi-filament, not as arm friendly as multi-filament. If I remember this, I think this is a multi-filament. Maybe it's a synthetic gut, I don't remember. So I can check this out since it has the right grip, 3/8 or 1/4 on this one, and this one is 4.5, so it actually fits my grip really well. So I just need to focus on the rackets with the right grip first, and then the rest is really changing out of full bed into a hybrid setup where I can release the pain. I mean, there's no other way, Sims, you know, there's other like a dampener stuff, but I think they're just a gimmick. I think I need to seriously phase out of full bed poly. That might be the only answer. So I have a reel of this. I may get one of those. So I did some research in case you're thinking about doing the same thing. The Tecnofiber 1X by phase is rated probably the highest of some of the YouTube videos I watched, and one of the blogger too, he had that as the highest. One reel is like $300, so it's more on the upper end, probably half the cost of a natural gut. And then the lower end that I saw that has good rating was Head Velocity MLT or something like that, almost like BLT, but I think it's called MLT. It's about like $12 a set, so it's close to about half of the price of the Tekken 5 or X1 by Face. So I am going to order maybe both and kind of check it out, because I think I'm willing to lose the playability of the full bat and the spin potential of the full poly just to save my arms and my shoulder and my hips and my back so that I can enjoy playing more. I think that's more important at my age, and spend less time on the rehab side of things and spend more time on improving my game. So thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. This is ongoing process. A lot of these things are very personal, very subjective. Everybody likes different things. We all want to compete well, and that's where I'm just kind of tweaking things. But I got to a point, the conclusion is that I need to get out of the full bad poly. So that's the end. That's the goal. I keep repeating myself here. That means I don't have much to say after this. So let me know, and thanks for watching, and play a lot of tennis, stay fit, so I can, and I'm gonna focus more on that, improving my game and staying fit idea more than this really annoying tennis elbow. I'll see you later.